In this very second, while you are listening to my voice, there is a silent but incredibly violent war happening all around you. It is not fought with tanks or jets, but with lines of code, corrupted packets, and zero-day vulnerabilities that have the power to bring the entire modern world to a screeching halt. We like to think of the internet as a stable utility, like water or electricity. But the truth is that it is a fragile ecosystem held together by aging infrastructure and overworked security patches. Right now, there are massive cyber attacks happening that are so advanced, so complex, and so persistent that they look less like computer hacks and more like digital eldritch horrors. We aren't just talking about a teenager in a basement trying to guess your password. We are talking about state-sponsored groups, autonomous AI agents, and supply chain compromises that have already infiltrated the systems you trust the most. Today, we are deep diving into the most insane cyber attacks happening right now, explaining the mind-bending logic behind them, and revealing why the next big digital event might happen sooner than you think. If you have ever wondered how a few bits of data can paralyze a nation, stay tuned, because the reality of modern cyber warfare is far crazier than any science fiction movie. To understand the scale of what we are dealing with, we have to start with the concept of the supply chain attack. This is perhaps the most devastating trend in the current cybersecurity landscape. In the past, if a hacker wanted to get into a secure bank, they would attack the bank directly. But banks have spent billions on firewalls. So instead, the attackers look at the software the bank uses. Maybe it is an accounting tool, or even a simple piece of software used to manage the office printers. By compromising the developer of that software, the hackers can inject a backdoor into a legitimate update. Think about that for a second. You get a notification on your computer that says an update is ready. You click install, trusting the company that made the software. But because that company was hacked months ago, you have just personally invited a digital spy into your system with administrative privileges. This is exactly what happened with the SolarWinds and MoveIt attacks. These weren't just hacks. They were massive distribution events where a single infected update gave attackers access to thousands of government agencies and Fortune 500 companies simultaneously. It is the ultimate Trojan horse, and it is happening on a scale that makes traditional hacking look like child's play. As we move deeper into the digital shadows, we find the rise of ransomware as a service, or RAS. This is a business model that would make a Silicon Valley CEO blush. In the old days, you had to be a genius to write ransomware that could encrypt an entire network. Today, you just need a dark web subscription. Developers create incredibly powerful encryption tools and then rent them out to affiliates. These affiliates do the dirty work of finding targets and deploying the software. If the target pays the ransom, the developer takes a 20% cut. This professionalization of cybercrime has led to an explosion of attacks on critical infrastructure. We are seeing hospitals, water treatment plants, and energy grids being held for ransom. The goal isn't just to steal data anymore. It is to leverage the physical world against us. When a city's emergency services are locked behind an encryption key, it isn't just a technical problem. It is a human crisis. And the most insane part? These ransomware groups often have better customer support than your internet service provider, with live chat operators who will walk you through how to buy Bitcoin so you can pay them faster. But let's talk about something even more sophisticated. Living off the land. This is a technique used by the most elite state-sponsored groups. Instead of bringing their own malicious tools into a system, which might be detected by antivirus software, they use the tools that are already there. Every Windows or Linux machine has powerful administrative utilities like PowerShell or WMI. These hackers are so skilled that they can navigate an entire network, steal passwords, and exfiltrate data using nothing but legitimate system commands. It is like a burglar entering your house and using your own kitchen knives and tools to take apart your safe. Because these commands are part of the normal operation of the computer, they don't trigger any alarms. This fileless malware is nearly impossible to track and can stay active in a system for years without being noticed. Researchers have recently found instances where these ghost actors have been sitting inside power grid controllers for over a decade, just waiting for the right moment to flip a switch. Now, we have to address the elephant in the room: artificial intelligence in cyber warfare. We are currently witnessing the birth of the AI-driven attack. Imagine a phishing email that isn't full of typos and weird links, but is instead a perfectly written message that sounds exactly like your boss, referencing a private conversation you had yesterday. AI can analyze millions of social media posts and leaked emails to create the perfect social engineering attack at scale. But it goes further. We are seeing the development of autonomous malware. Normal malware is static. Once a security researcher figures out how it works, they can block it. Autonomous malware, however, can adapt. It can sense when it is being watched by a sandbox or a debugger and change its own code to stay hidden. It can scan a network, find vulnerabilities, and exploit them faster than any human operator ever could. We are entering an era of machine speed warfare, where the only way to defend a network is to have another AI constantly fighting off the intruders in a literal battle of the algorithms. One of the most terrifying specific attacks happening right now involves the targeting of space infrastructure. We don't often think about it, but our entire modern world depends on satellites. GPS, financial transactions, and global communications all rely on those boxes floating in orbit. In the early days of a major conflict in Eastern Europe, a massive cyber attack was launched against a satellite provider. The goal wasn't just to disrupt TV signals. It was to break the ground modems that thousands of people used for internet access. The attackers sent a command that overwrote the modem's flash memory, turning them into expensive paperweights. This was a clear demonstration that the digital battlefield now extends all the way into space. If a coordinated attack were to take down the GPS network, it wouldn't just mean you couldn't find your way to a new restaurant. It would mean planes couldn't navigate, ships would be lost at sea, and the global supply chain would collapse in a matter of hours. While we are on the topic of infrastructure, we have to talk about industrial control systems, or ICS. These are the computers that run our factories, our chemical plants, and our electricity. Many of these systems were designed decades ago, long before security was a concern. They speak old, unencrypted protocols that were never meant to be on the internet. But in our quest for efficiency, we have connected them anyway. Right now, there are lurker attacks where hackers are not trying to break things, but are simply mapping out the logic of these controllers. They want to know exactly which valve controls which chemical, or which breaker shuts down which part of the city. This is the ultimate sleeper cell strategy. The goal is to have the capability to cause physical damage through digital means whenever it becomes politically useful. It is a form of digital deterrence that is just as powerful as traditional military force. Another insane trend is the rise of deepfake audio and video in cyber attacks. We've all seen the funny videos of celebrities saying weird things, but the criminal applications are chilling. There have been documented cases where a branch manager of a large company received a phone call from what sounded exactly like the CEO, ordering an urgent wire transfer of millions of dollars. The voice was so convincing, with the correct accent and speech patterns, that the manager complied. We are reaching a point where biometric security, like voice recognition or even video calls, can no longer be trusted. If an attacker can spoof your face and your voice in real time during a Zoom call, how can you ever verify who you are talking to? This is breaking the fundamental trust that the business world is built on. Let's talk about the dark side of the Internet of Things, or IoT. Every smart light bulb, fridge, and doorbell in your house is a tiny computer. Most of these devices have terrible security. They often have hard-coded passwords that can't be changed, or they never receive security updates. Hackers are currently taking over millions of these devices to create massive botnets. The most famous was the Mirai botnet, which used a legion of smart cameras to take down major parts of the internet by overwhelming them with traffic. But now, these botnets are being used for more than just DDoS attacks. They are being used as proxy networks. If a state-sponsored hacker wants to attack a government agency, they don't do it from their own IP address. They bounce the attack through thousands of smart fridges and home routers all over the world. This makes attribution almost impossible. When the FBI tries to track the source of a hack, they find themselves looking at a suburban home in Ohio or a coffee shop in Berlin. There is also a very specific type of attack happening right now called a credential stuffing attack. Thanks to thousands of data breaches over the last decade, there are billions of username and password combinations floating around the dark web. Hackers know that most people reuse the same password for everything. So they use massive automated scripts to try those billions of combinations on every major site. Banking, Netflix, Amazon, you name it. They might have a success rate of only 0.1%, but when you are trying 10 million combinations an hour, that is still thousands of compromised accounts. This is why multi-factor authentication is no longer an extra feature. It is a basic requirement for survival in the digital age. If you aren't using an authenticator app, you are essentially leaving your front door wide open in a neighborhood full of professional locksmiths. Something even more insane. is the manipulation of the Border Gateway Protocol, or BGP hijacking. BGP is the system that tells the internet where data should go. It is like the GPS for the entire World Wide Web. The problem is that BGP was built on trust. If a major internet service provider says, hey, all the traffic for Google should come through me, the rest of the internet generally believes them. We have seen instances where entire countries' worth of traffic were misrouted through servers in distant nations for hours at a time. During that time, the attackers could perform man-in-the-middle attacks, intercepting encrypted data and potentially cracking it later. It is a high-level, architectural attack that shows how the very foundations of the internet are vulnerable to anyone with enough influence over the routing tables. We also have to look at the world of zero-day exploits. A zero-day is a vulnerability in a piece of software that the developer doesn't know about. It means they have 0 days to fix it. These exploits are the nuclear weapons of the cyber world. A single 0 day in an iPhone or a Windows kernel can be worth millions of dollars on the gray market. Right now, there is a massive underground economy where researchers sell these bugs to governments and private surveillance firms. This has led to the rise of what we call mercenary spyware, like the Pegasus software. This software can be delivered to a phone through a zero-click exploit. That means the victim doesn't have to click a link or open a file. They just receive a specially crafted message, and their phone is instantly compromised. Their camera, microphone, and encrypted messages are all open to the attacker. It is a level of surveillance that would make Orwell's Big Brother look like an amateur. Another crazy development is the targeting of developer environments. Hackers have realized that if they can't break into a secure company, they can break into the personal laptop of one of that company's software developers. Why? Because developers often have secrets stored on their machines, API keys, access tokens, and SSH keys that allow them to push code to the production servers. By stealing a single session cookie or a developer's token, an attacker can bypass all the company's corporate firewalls. This is how many of the biggest tech companies in the world have been breached recently. The security of a multi-billion-dollar corporation is often only as strong as the password on a junior developer's home router. But let's get into some of the most paranoid stuff that is actually happening. Hardware supply chain compromise. This is the stuff of spy novels. Imagine a server being shipped to a data center. Somewhere in the shipping process, the box is opened, and a tiny chip, no bigger than a grain of rice, is soldered onto the motherboard. This chip is so small it is almost impossible to see, but it has the power to intercept the data flowing through the server and send it to a remote listener. While this is incredibly difficult to pull off, the reward is total control over the hardware itself. There are constant rumors and occasional evidence of this happening at the highest levels of global intelligence. It means that even if your software is perfect and your encryption is unbreakable, the very silicon your code runs on might be betraying you. We are also seeing the weaponization of social media via bot armies. This might not sound like a cyber attack in the traditional sense, but it is a massive operation of cognitive hacking. By using thousands of automated accounts powered by large language models, attackers can create artificial trends, spread misinformation, and sway public opinion on a massive scale. This isn't just about politics. It is used for market manipulation. 2. A coordinated bot attack could spread a false rumor about a company's CEO, causing the stock price to plummet in minutes before the company can even issue a correction. The attackers who have shorted the stock make millions. It is an attack on the information layer of society, and we are currently very bad at defending against it. Now consider the concept of a kill disk or wiper malware. Most hackers want something, money or information, but some just want to cause chaos. Wiper malware doesn't encrypt your files. It simply deletes them or overwrites the master boot record so the computer can never start again. During major geopolitical tensions, we have seen waves of wiper malware deployed against government and financial institutions. The goal is to cause massive data loss and operational paralysis. It is a scorched earth policy in digital form. Once a wiper attack is done, there is no paying the ransom to get your data back. It is just gone. This brings us to the terrifying reality of cyber-physical systems. We are talking about cars, medical devices, and even smart city infrastructure. Researchers have already proven they can remotely hack into a moving car and disable the brakes or take control of the steering. In hospitals, there are thousands of network devices, from infusion pumps to heart monitors, that are often running ancient, unpatched software. A cyber attack on these devices isn't about data. It is about physical safety. If a hacker can change the dosage of a medication being delivered by an automated pump, the consequences are immediate and devastating. As we integrate computers more deeply into our bodies and our transportation, the stakes of cybersecurity go from inconvenient to existential. Another insane aspect of modern attacks is the use of steganography. This is the art of hiding data inside other data. A hacker might take a harmless-looking image of a cat and hide malicious code in the color values of the pixels. To a human or a basic scanner, it is just a picture. But when a small piece of loader code on the target computer reads that image, it extracts the hidden bits and assembles them into a powerful virus. This allows malware to slip past firewalls and email filters that only look for bad file types. The malicious code is literally hidden in plain sight. We should also talk about the quantum threat. While quantum computers are still in their infancy, they represent a looming doomsday for modern encryption. Most of the security we use today, like RSA and ECC, is based on the fact that it is really hard for a classical computer to factor large prime numbers. A powerful quantum computer could do this in seconds. There is a strategy being used right now called harvest now, decrypt later. State actors are currently stealing and storing massive amounts of encrypted data that they can't read yet. They are betting that in 10 or 15 years, they will have a quantum computer that can crack that old data. This means that secrets you think are safe today might be wide open in a decade. The sheer economics of cybercrime are also staggering. The total cost of cybercrime to the global economy is now estimated in the trillions of dollars. If cybercrime were a country, it would have the third largest economy in the world. This massive influx of cash allows criminal groups to act like corporations or even small states. They have HR departments, they give their employees bonuses, and they invest in their own R&D. They are constantly innovating, finding new ways to bypass the latest security measures. It is a true arms race, and the attackers currently have the advantage because they only need to find one small hole, while the defenders have to protect everything at once. One of the most complex attacks happening right now is the multi-stage campaign. An attacker might start by sending a low-level phishing email just to see who clicks. Then, they use that first foothold to sit quietly on the network for weeks, just observing. They might use a side-channel attack, like measuring the power consumption or the electromagnetic emissions of a server, to steal encryption keys. Finally, when they have mapped everything, they strike all at once, exfiltrating data, deploying ransomware, and deleting backups simultaneously. This level of planning and patience is what separates the modern advanced persistent threat from the script kiddie of the past. We also have to consider the risk of accidental escalation. Because cyber weapons are often automated and can spread on their own, there is a risk that an attack meant for one target could spill over into the rest of the world. This happened with the NotPetya attack. It was designed to target a specific piece of accounting software in one country, but it used an exploit that allowed it to spread through any connected Windows machine. It crippled some of the world's largest shipping companies, pharmaceutical giants, and even hospital systems thousands of miles away from the intended target. It caused over $10 billion in damage globally. It was a digital wildfire that no one could control. So, what does this all mean for the average person with computer knowledge? It means that the old ways of thinking about security, just having a password and an antivirus, are dead. We have to move toward a zero-trust model. In a zero-trust environment, you don't trust anything, even if it is inside your network. Every single request for data, every login, and every command must be verified. We have to assume that our networks are already compromised and build our systems to be resilient. We need to use hardware-based security keys, always use encrypted communications, and be extremely skeptical of everything we see on our screens. The world of cyber warfare is dark and complex, but understanding it is the first step to defending against it. We are living through the greatest shift in the nature of conflict in human history. The digital world is no longer separate from the physical world. It is the nervous system that controls it. Protecting that nervous system is the great challenge of our generation. As we continue to build more complex and interconnected systems, we have to make sure that we aren't just building a house of cards that can be knocked over by a single malicious bit of data. It is easy to feel overwhelmed by the scale of these attacks, but there is hope. The cybersecurity community is just as innovative as the attackers. We are developing new ways of using AI to detect anomalies, new types of post-quantum encryption that can't be cracked by the computers of the future, and better ways of building secure-by-design hardware. The war is constant, but it is not hopeless. Every time you update your software, use 2FA, or learn about how these attacks work, you are making the digital world a little bit safer. The most insane cyber attacks happening right now are a wake-up call. They show us that we can no longer take our digital lives for granted. The internet is a miracle of human engineering, but it is a miracle that requires constant vigilance to maintain. The hackers, the state actors, and the autonomous agents are out there right now, searching for the next vulnerability. They are looking for the next way to turn our own technology against us. Our job is to stay one step ahead, to keep building, and to never stop learning about the incredible, dangerous world of the machine. As we look to the future, the boundary between cybersecurity and national security will completely disappear. The next major conflict will likely start in the digital world, long before the first shot is fired in the physical one. It will be a war of invisible signals and silent code. But by understanding these attacks, by peeling back the layers of obfuscation, we can see the battlefield for what it truly is. We can prepare, we can adapt, and we can protect the miracle of the connected world for the generations to come. Stay vigilant, keep your systems updated, and as always, keep digging into the code. The more you know about how the machine works, the less likely you are to be crushed by it. The digital world is a place of infinite possibility and infinite peril. It belongs to those who understand it. Let's make sure we are among them. The fight for the future is happening right now, one packet at a time. And in this world, knowledge isn't just power. It's the only real defense we have left. The silent war continues. But for those with their eyes open, the patterns are clear. We are the guardians of the digital age, and the watch never ends. There is so much more to uncover, so many more layers to this onion. From the deepest code in our kernels to the satellites in our sky, the story of cyber warfare is the story of our era. Let's keep exploring it together.